broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Houston, Texas. It's time for Houston Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hello, Houston. Trisha Stutzel here, bringing you another episode of Houston Business Radio. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my guest today, Young Han, a fractional CFO and COO with Thesis Group. Young is an entrepreneur and strategic finance leader who has helped shape the growth strategies of major brands including Starbucks, Apple, and Phil's Coffee. He began his entrepreneurial journey early, co-founding a Korean restaurant at just 19 years old that generated more than $3 million in its first year. Today, Young works with companies as a fractional executive, helping founders simplify operations, build strong financial strategies, and scale businesses in a way that supports both professional success and personal well-being. He's also a strong advocate for what he calls work-life integration, believing that personal health and family life should be designed into a business from the beginning. Young, welcome to the show.
Trisha, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. And, I hadn't even lined up your podcast, so that's got to come in someplace during our conversation. So here's what we're going to start with. Tell us more about you.
Yeah, so I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life, and grew up watching my dad as a small business owner, and kind of planted the bug in my brain. And through that process, you end up failing quite a bit. And so in between my entrepreneurial journeys, I've worked at really great companies and learned a lot of different things. And now, in my 40s, I moved my family from the San Francisco, California area to Austin, Texas, where we now just, live a little bit of a slower life. And I do consulting work, and I use the experiences and skills that I've gained over the last 25 years building businesses to help other people build theirs.
Yeah, I love that. So can we talk a little bit about, from a business perspective, strategic finance versus traditional finance? I think that's going to be a really good topic for today.
Yeah, I think that the value of a CFO and a finance person is evolving incredibly fast. And when you go to these CFO conferences, even in the last few years, the conversations are adapting very, very quickly, because technology is moving so fast, and it's allowing us to do more with the data that we used to have. And so being able to understand a financial statement and build these cash flow trackers and doing these flux analyses were almost specialized, right, to people that were very, very savvy about finance and sometimes even tax. But a lot of this stuff can be augmented through technology now. And so you still need someone that knows how to do it. So I'm not saying it's absolved the people, but you definitely can do it a lot faster and a lot quicker. And so it does give room for the next wave of finance people to get from behind the scenes to front of the house. And that's what we call strategic finance. And that's really around like being more of a data architect. And finance people are naturally good with numbers. And so if you can put, financial models in place and start building assumptive models that show how the business could potentially grow even more, you're taking someone that traditionally has been, at the end of the month, we tell you where you sucked and where you messed up, and we just kind of slap your hand, and then we go back into our office and say, don't do that again next month, and it's already too late. And now we're kind of like, hey, here's some new ideas of how we can increase margins if we mix this product with this thing and this marketing tactic. We think we can generate an additional, 12% of contribution margin, or, you know what I mean? Like, we're creating value, and so we're starting to help grow the business through financial forecasting and modeling, debt equity leverage tactics, tax mitigation strategies. And so we're becoming much more front of house and being data architects for the entire company, and then using our financial acumen to actually help it grow, not just tell them what they did wrong.
Oh, I love that. And as business owners, oftentimes we don't even want to talk numbers except for tax time, right? It's like, oh, now we have to produce all of these numbers, and then the conversation is even worse. I love that. So can we talk about, so I have a lot of smaller business owners that listen to the show. Can we talk about this fractional piece? Because I think it's really important for smaller business owner or business owners who have smaller businesses to know that they can still afford services like what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that every business owner should have a fractional CFO. If you're small and you you can't afford it, you know, my recommendation would just say hire them for twice a year. Just go over the numbers every 6 months, or do 1 hour a quarter, and that's probably less than $1,000 for someone decent to look at it. And it's not that you like need it, but it definitely will help you because they'll look at the business differently from those numbers than you will, just running it as a function expert. The average small business owner, the vast majority of them start their business because they're passionate about something or they're really good at it. And so much of it is not like you get to a certain scale and you can, have your passion and function expertise guide you to pretty good success, but you get capped out pretty quickly. And so you have to learn business to keep scaling. And so my recommendation is to bring these people in. And then the whole point of the thesis of Thesis Group, which is my outsourced finance firm, that's the name of it, is that we think that most companies don't need a full-time finance team anymore. We think as the technology keeps getting more robust and companies are more agile and adapting to the markets, we think most companies need moving finance stack. So they don't need a full-time controller, a full-time CFO, a full-time accounting clerk. They sometimes need 30 hours of an accounting clerk, 6 hours of a modeler, 4 hours of a controller, and maybe 6 hours of a CFO. And so you're able to fractionalize exactly what you need. So instead of paying like $600,000 or $700,000 a year in salaries, you could pay 150 and get exactly what you need to get you to the $20 million mark. And then you can custom fit that to the next level and the next level and the next level. It helps you grow faster by actually custom fitting it. And it's a lot cheaper for you and a lot more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so lots of tech talk here, and I introduced you as a fractional CFO, fractional COO, but I also know that you're a serial entrepreneur. Can we
Yeah.
talk about all of the experience? I know you're a finance guy and operations guy, but you also have a lot of business experience, not just the one experience when you were 19. So let's talk about that serial entrepreneur in you.
Yeah, I've just been building businesses since I was 19 years old. I just can't stop, and I love it. And even when I work at companies, I typically join startups so that I can continue to build companies. And I end up working at places that are scaling or have high volatility. I just really like love the art of building business. It's really fun for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I've done a lot of random things. I helped expand Starbucks. I opened 6 new locations for them when their anti-compete with Pete's ended, and we started opening up stores in California. I was part of that launch process, so I helped open a bunch of stores for them. And then when Apple Retail launched, I was able to work at the first location, Steve Jobs' location, and be the manager for his retail location when it launched, which was a really exciting experience because he used to come in once a month. And then there's done a ton of venture. So raised a lot of money to, probably just under $300 million I fundraised across a lot of different companies to basically build a bunch of businesses at scale really fast. And so at Phil's Coffee, I helped open 55 locations across the country in 2 years. So it's not like we're doing this over the course of 5 or 10 years. Everything is like venture capital is kind of weird. They give you money and they say, hey, I'm going to give you like $12 million. I need you to spend it as fast as humanly possible. Test every possible situation you can as quickly as you can and try to get this to be 100x as fast as possible. And it's a very different mindset, but the benefit of doing this venture route over and over and over again is that I've now experienced more business tactics than the average person because I
Mhm.
was forced to spend people's money to go try to grow this as fast as humanly possible. So as long as you had two good reasons for why you did the tactic, the investors were very, very for it, right? They wanted you to try everything. And so it's hard. It's hard to spend that kind of money that fast, but it does give you a lot of business experience very, very quickly. And then I did insurance technology. Excuse me, I have a little tickle in my throat. I did insurance technology with machine learning. So we did actuarial work and we sold that company. And then most recently, I built robot baristas. And so we did robotics and things like that. And then I kind of had a midlife crisis when I turned 40. And I just felt like the hubris of, fun traveling the country, not seeing my kids, raising, $16 million to go build robots. It just felt, I don't know, something just fell apart in my soul. And I got really, really fat and overweight. And my wife's like, this is very unattractive. We got to figure this out. And I just wasn't happy. I should have been happy because it's a cool job and it's a cool role and it was a fun
Mhm.
product. But my value prop had changed. And so I quit, and I spent 2 or 3 months doing a lot of reading and interviewing people and soul searching, and hit my midlife crisis pretty hard. And then the end result was that I just wanted to slow down. And so I packed up my family sight unseen and moved to small town Texas, where we live in the country. Yeah, I live on a nice plot of land, and my girls pick up frogs and crickets in the backyard and in the creek, and we have a green belt, 10-acre green belt back there. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's very slow. It's nice. And then I just started consulting, and I'll wrap up the story here. But I started consulting for work because I had these skills and people would pay me, and so I could optimize for time, and I did that. And because I was helping so many companies at the same time, I started realizing that 75% of the businesses were the same. And so there's only 25% that was, in my opinion, that's different in each company. And I was like kind of fascinated by this. And so I started reading EOS and eMyth and all these other operational business operation systems books. And I liked them. I liked them a lot. And obviously I gleaned a lot of tactics from them, and they were definitely muses for me. But I built my own operating system and started documenting that 75% that was the same. And then it allowed me to double my client load because I can help them faster with less time because I had an operating system that was taking care of 75%. And then that was really good. And I started making a lot of money, and it was really fascinating. And then I had a friend that had a small business, and she said, I heard you're doing consulting. Can you help me? And I said, hey, I don't work with small businesses. I work with venture-backed companies because you can't afford my rate. And she said, listen, I've been doing this thing for 7 years. I'm going to either stop doing it because I'm not making enough to like retire or live great, but I'm making enough to keep going. And it sucks. I've been 7 years doing this. So you're either going to help me or I'm going to shut this down. And I'm like, I'll just help you pro bono. And so I helped her pro bono, and I just met with her an hour a week, and then ran her through the operating system. It works faster in small business than it does in venture-backed companies.
Mm.
And she made $1 million in 9 months.
Wow.
And then I'm like, wait, so then she starts referring me to people, and I'm like, hey, I'm not a small business coach. And she's like, I'm not telling them about you, but if I'm out there buying real estate and like new cars, my friends that are small business owners are going to ask me what I'm doing.
Great.
And so I took on 4 more clients and did the same thing, and got all the way up to 8 and helped them all make $1 million in annual revenue in less than a year. And I was like, wow, this system works incredibly well with small business. And then I was worried that it was my good looks and charm. So it could be. So I hired
You
two
never
young
know.
ladies. You never know. So I hired 2 young ladies that have never owned a business. One was, in their late 20s. One was early 30s. Trained them on the operating system, gave them 4 clients each. They took a lot longer. They took like a year and a half, but they were able to do it as well. So I'm like, wow. So it does work. And then the last test I wanted to do was to see if this works was test it on myself. So 4 years ago, I started a pool cleaning company, and it made $1 million in 9 months. We're on track to doing $6 million in our 5th year of business. And I've just been on a tear. I've been opening 5 businesses a year using this operating system. I have a 70% success rate to get it to $1 million in annual revenue. And I have half a dozen businesses that have hit that, and 2 of them that do over 5 million. And I did this all in the last 4 years. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have so many more questions. All right. Before we go on, I know people already want to know a little more about you, want to connect with you. Where's the best place for people to find Young Han?
So the easiest way is to go to alwayshan.com. That's always Han. Well, plural always. Han is my last name, HAN.com. And that's basically a play on words. It's just saying I'm always on, because I believe in integrated life. So that's kind of my personal page, and it kind of takes you where you need to go if you want to have me speak, or you want to work with me because you're a small business or you're a mid-market company, you want me to be your fractional CFO. It'll guide you to all the different businesses that I own. But if you are a small business owner, and most of your listeners are small business owners, I would just go to owners.club. Owners.club. And that's my small business operating system coaching business. And that's where we try to help people learn this operating system. And we have a free community. You can just join for free. And we do monthly coaching in group, in mass. We have all the templates, all my videos, like it's all free. I'm trying to write a book so I can give it away for free, because I'm trying to help more and more people use the same operating system to help them grow their business. And if you want me to do it, obviously we charge you, but if you can't afford it, just join the club for free, and I'll give you all the stuff, and you can kind of guide yourself through it. There's plenty of people have done it and have worked their way up to $1 million. Yeah.
You're amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I can't wait to hear folks who are listening today, who all's joining. I want to know, you guys. Just comment in the comments below this show. Let's talk about work-life integration. I think that's really important. Part of
Yeah.
your story was, I can't do this anymore. I have to shift. I'm in a different part of my life,
Right.
and my values have changed. So, one, how did you know that? Like, you had this, you wake up one morning and your wife said, you can't look like that or act like that anymore. What was it that had you shift? And then how do you integrate?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things, but I'll only share one big epiphany, and just know that there's a lot more robust thought that went into it, and I don't want you to undercut the value of the
Mhm.
one thing. But it was really around this concept of like protecting time, right? So I was doing what everyone says, all the gurus say. I turn off my phone and do not disturb from 5 to 7, and I'm there for my family, and I'm completely dedicated. And I tried that, and it's super, super important to do that. And I think it's very valuable practice. But I started to realize as I was blocking off these perfect time slots, I would have a argument with my wife. And my sales day, even though I would like switch gears and I knew it was going to be fine, and we were going to make up, it'll be fine, right? But I'm like in my sales days or in my work days, it was still like 5 or 10% in the back of my mind. And so maybe I sold a little better, maybe I sold a little less better, but it was hanging there. Right? I knew it was there.
Mhm.
And if I had a bad work day, even though I was in dedicated time with my kids and I was like, I got to calm my brain and let's focus on the kids, I couldn't help but have that 10% of worry in the back of my mind. And so, was I really being that perfectly qualitative for them? And then it just gave me a huge like epiphany saying, like, we're humans. We're not binary robots. We're not perfect. That's like literally the most insane thing for you to think that like you could go do this, young. I'm like, you can't be 100% just on a switch of a clock. That's the most insane thing to think. And so, if you know you can't be perfect at it, then why are you trying to achieve something that is not efficient? So the inverse of that was the most efficient thing is to embrace the imperfectness of the human nature and try to integrate those two things together. And so what that means for me is I just do the best that I can with what I have
Mhm.
versus trying to be this perfect person that's like, no, these 2 hours are dedicated to working out and these 2 hours are dedicated to my wife for a date night. And it's just, it doesn't work. And so if it has to adapt, you just address the situation, you use the information you have, you work with your family, you work with your partners and your team members, you make decisions on the fly, and you just do the best that you can with the information that you have. And you
Mhm.
just integrate. And it requires a lot more transparency. It requires a lot more vulnerability.
Mhm.
But if you can pull it off, it's fascinating. And I'll give you one funny output. I've always hated conferencing because when I go to conferences, I typically like I mean, I'm by myself, crappy food, lonely hotel rooms, and you're really working like, I don't know, like 6 hours a day, maybe four, because the conference floor is not really that big of a deal. And then the actual sessions, they're cool, but like I'm really going for a handful of really important meetings. And then the rest of the time I'm just by myself.
Yeah.
And so I went to a pool conference and I brought my youngest daughter with me. And I put on a Blue Ocean Pool Service shirt on her. I bought her a badge. I bought her a conference ticket. And so we're walking the conference floor together, checking out
Yeah.
the vendors. And like everyone thought she was super cute and it was awesome. And then for the meetings that I went to, I just gave her some crayons and a paper and then an iPad. And she just did whatever she needed to do for 4 or 5 hours. Every single private equity fund manager, every single investor, every single person I met with was like, wait, you can do that? And I'm like, do you care? And they're like, I don't care. I want to bring my kid next year. I didn't know we could do that. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I don't care. As long as you don't care, I don't care. Why don't you bring your kid next year? We'll all do it together. Like, what is she going to learn in the third grade that she won't learn interacting with business?
Yeah.
And I just like in my mind, it's like that's what I mean by life integration is like, let's just like stop thinking about it as this binary thing and just try to like be the best that we can with what we have, knowing that we're imperfect. That's what I
Be
think.
the best that we can with what we have. I love that. I think it's fantastic. So I think right now would be a really good time to talk about your podcast, Girl Dad.
Sure.
Can we for a minute? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I well, I will be very vulnerable and I'll tell you it's kind of crass, but I love making money. It's one of my favorite things to do in life. It's like literally the thing that fills my soul and fills my heart and wakes me up in the middle of the night going, how am I going to make more money? Like I literally
Ah,
love it. And
yes.
I know you're not supposed to say that in our American culture, but I freaking love it. That's just who I
Mhm.
am, and I really, really embrace art and act and science and making money. It really just like inspires and spurs me and motivates me. And I had my first kid, and for the first time ever, I love something more than money. And I was just like, wow, this is so weird. It's like felt so weird, and it was just very hard for me to process. And then I was like struggling with it, and I started to like, optimize for time so I could spend more time with her and lower my professional career. And then over like 2 or 3 months, I started to get like sad and like kind of depressed again. And then I started realizing that's not good either. And so I'm like, if I can love two things, and I just got to figure out how I can, be a great dad and be a great person that makes a lot of money. And I'm like sitting there trying to figure this out. And I'm like, why am I trying to figure this out? There's so many rich people out there that are parents that, I should just ask them. And so I messaged all my richest mentors and friends that were most successful, like PE fund managers, VCs, investment bankers, politicians. I just started interviewing them, and just the output of what they said was so wide and varied. From
Mm,
like they outsource everything to maximize quality of time, to
mm,
people that have slowed down their career to spend more time at different stages, and then everything in between. And it was fascinating just to see how rich people process that time constraint. And I was like, this is a fascinating topic. And so I started telling my friends about it, and then everyone had a visceral reaction to what these people were
mm.
saying. You should never do that, or you should do that, and this and that. And I'm like, I think I have a show. And so I was like, twofold. One is I think it's entertaining, and then two, it's fun for me to learn from other successful people how
Mm,
they navigate it. And
mhm.
so it's less about, doing it for entertainment value. It's really just for me to learn how to make more money and still be a great dad.
Love
That's
that.
it. Yeah. It's
That's
my
it.
personal journey to like learn how people do it. And then it has changed how I live, because like, I'm
Mm,
not saying I believe in everything everyone says, but
right.
there are significant moments where I'm like, that is an incredible way to think about life and
Uh-huh.
parenting and business. And so it's been very helpful for me to be, integrate my passion for business and money and dadhood.
Well, I love that. All right, if you guys are interested, you can find Girl Dad on whatever channel you happen to be listening to your podcasts
Yeah,
on.
it's the Girl Dad Show. The Girl
The
Dad
Girl
Show.
Dad
Yeah.
Show. Love
Hmm.
it. Okay, so as we kind of get to the back end of our conversation,
Hmm.
Young, I'm going to use the words failing forward. I'm going to do full
Yeah.
circle. We started with you've learned from your failures as well as your successes. So, what failure taught you? What did failure teach you that success never could?
It teaches you more than success. It
Mm,
teaches you everything. I don't think you really learn much from success, to be honest with you. You just learn what works for you. But failure teaches you tactics, technical skills. It teaches you market conditions. It teaches you your palate, your plate breadth and
mhm,
bandwidth, your values. I mean, failure is the mechanism to learn. And very fortunately, I grew up in Silicon Valley, and so I mean, I didn't realize it was unique until I left it. But I mean, it's kind of weird there. Where like now it's weird to me there, but it was very normal there. But like if you're not failing, you're considered not successful.
mhm.
And so it was really interesting to come out of that bubble, because the rest of the country doesn't look at the world like that, and everyone's very afraid to fail. And in Silicon Valley, it's almost looked down upon if you don't fail. I mean, it's easier to even get investor money if you've had a couple failures. Like everything is geared towards failing. And so for me, I think failure is a great lesson and a great learning mechanism. And I will tell you that like I am building businesses at scale, and I'm probably failing more businesses in the last 4 years than most people will do in their life. I have 14 successful businesses, but it's not like I hit 100% home runs. I mean, I'm at a 67% success rate. So imagine how much money I lost and how many people I've hurt because I hired them and I had to shut the business down. You know what I mean? Like that's a
Yeah.
lot of emotional torture, pain, and struggle. And if your listeners are business owners, they know how emotional that is. They know how hard it is to shut down a business or let people go that rely on this to live. And yeah, I've done that at scale. I mean, I've failed a lot of businesses in the last 4 years, let alone my entire career. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but my favorite saying is to people that always ask me, like, I don't want to fail, or the way that you operate makes me fail. Because that's what I tell people. The operating system that I will teach you is all about failing forward. How can you fail forward as fast as humanly possible
Yeah.
at your human possibility skill set, right? And so that's how the operating system works. That's entirely the foundation of it. It's just teaching you how to fail forward as fast as possible to get to this conclusion the fastest. That'll make you the most money. But the thing I always tell people is, listen, I have failed more than the average person. And I will tell you right now, my mom still loves me. Like, who cares? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way you got to think about it. Like, at the end of the day, who do you really care, that you failed? And if your mom still loves you, what else do you need? Like, just go for it. And so that's my favorite thing, and just don't worry about it. The
Just
core
don't
people
worry
in your
about it.
life will love you. They'll still be there for you. They're not gonna be upset with you or beat you up over it. They may beat you. My mom does make fun of me about it, but that's like tough love, right?
Yeah.
But she still loves me. There's no change in her love for me as her son and her kid, and she still appreciates me and loves me. She just wants me to be happy and healthy. Like, she just doesn't care about any of that. And so fail as I fail, like, who cares? I can tackle the world again as long as my mom keeps loving me.
Oh my gosh. So y'all listening that are recovering perfectionists or would like to be, you know what? It's okay to fail, especially if your mom still loves you.
Exactly.
Don't hesitate.
Exactly. Well, it's also funny that you said perfectionist, because if I can add one more note, I mean, part of the operating system is to not be perfect at anything. It's actually to be mediocre at everything until you get to about $3 to $4 million in annual revenue. You being perfect at anything in your small business, pre like 4 million, is hugely inefficient. You want to be absolutely the most mediocre you can be at everything. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, my friend, tell the audience where they can find you again, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, so if you want to find me to know everything, like my podcast or all the companies, it's alwayshan.com. And if you're a small business owner that's like sub 5 million, you go to owners.club.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with me today. This was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I apologize if I talk too fast. I know I can get into that
No,
mode.
not at all. We crammed a lot into a short show, which I love, and so much value. And I really appreciate your time today.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. If you found value in this conversation that I had with Young today, please share it with a fellow entrepreneur, veteran, or Houston leader ready to grow. And be sure to follow, rate, and review the show. It does help us reach more bold business minds just like yours. And your business, your leadership, and your legacy are built one intentional step at a time. So stay inspired, stay focused, and keep building the business and the life you deserve.